What is up, A Fit Are You CrossFit Jammers? How are you guys doing? As always, check us out on Facebook for more future videos. And today, we're continuing the muscle up, and we're talking about the ring dip progression, or even being able to hold in the ring support position. If you remember from last day's video, we talked a little bit about the push-up positioning and the basic ring row. And we kind of got into the false grip and how to use that. So we're going to be kind of getting into that a little bit as well today. But for the most part, getting out of that hold position, getting into that position as well, and then learning how to use that false grip to kind of create a strong position to pull with. Alright? A little bit uncomfortable, a little bit crazy, but we'll get through it, alright? No time like the present, let's hit it. So, I've got my ring set up here, but before we go, I want to do a quick review of what we talked about for our prerequisites. Remember, you can't run before you can walk, alright? So we're going to learn how to do these proper progressions first and make sure you got these down pat. Talking about the basic push-up. Hardest part of the push-up is literally, remember, pushing up from the ground, getting out of that hold, that catch position, alright? A lot of strain happens on the anterior delt, a little bit of the pec major, and even a little bit of pec minor going in there as well, especially when we start talking about those ring dips. So, hands set up. When we're talking about a push-up, we always want to talk about our hands, alright? Just like our ankles and the support with our feet for our squat, same position for our push-up and any pushing movement overhead. Hands should be nice and wide, so nice wide fingers, spreading them out, alright? And creating an L with the index finger and the thumb. It's not loser sign, alright? It stands for love, because you love yourself. So we're going to get those hands set up on the ground, nice and easy. And I want my hands to be right under my shoulder joint. I want the path of force, the trajectory of force, to travel nice and straight through this plane right here. Reaching it out is going to change up things, make this a less efficient movement. Obviously, if I reach too far back, I'm going to impinge the wrists. Not going to be very fun at all. So, got it right under my shoulders, nice and set. Then I can add one leg back. All right, I'm going to see how that feels. I'm going to maintain a nice neutral spine. And remember, what does that cue mean? It means that if you were standing up, how would your spine be positioned? I wouldn't be walking around like this all day. I wouldn't be tucked like this. Nice and relaxed, nice and controlled. Then I'm going to step the other foot back. I'm going to see how this plank position feels. Alright? Once I'm in that position, you can hold plank for a little bit. You're going to take the pit of your elbows. So the pit of your elbows, the face here, and you're going to make sure that pit comes forward. Right? So it should be facing forward when you're doing your push-up. How do you do that? You practice externally rotating. Turning your hand out. Just like we do with our feet. When our feet should be facing forward in our squat, externally rotating through the hip joint, allowing those femurs to rotate out, and creating that nice torque through the system, right? So hands are down, pits of the elbows, this is bad, internal rotation, not bad, but less efficient. Opening up. As soon as I do that, it's a much more stable position for the shoulder, right to the lats there. Stepping back, get that plank, and my elbows should be going back as I do my push-up. Nice and controlled, nice easy platform for the weight to travel through with my wide hands. If you can crank out 20 push-ups, no problem, feeling good, then we're ready for that position, especially getting all the way down, focusing on pushing out of that bottom position. The other one we talked about, with our lovely, again, faster rings here, we're talking about ring row. Basic ring row, remember, closer your feet are to your anchor point with the rings, more difficult the movement. Something called gravity pushes down on us. Yeah, it makes things a little bit harder, right? Basic physics right there for you. As you walk away from that anchor point, it might get a little easier for you, okay? So for today's purpose, we're talking about the muscle up. We want to kind of simulate the movement as much as possible. So when we're doing our kip, we're going to be almost in this position as we're kipping up, and then as we explode into our sit-up and pull through the rings. So this is where we're going to row from. We're going to extend back, hips nice and tight. Practice bringing thumbs to chest. Squeezing the upper back and using the large muscles of the back to support, not making it an arm-dominant movement. You're going to feel it in your arms, yes, I understand that, but you want to consciously use the back to pull through, alright? Once you can do about 10 ring rows, no problem, then we're ready for the next component. False grip time. So with a standard grip, as you can see, I'm kind of in this position right here. I have a nice base between where I'm holding the ring and how much space I have with my wrist. This makes it a lot more tough when I try to pull up and transition through the rings. As you can see, my wrists are bent not a stable position where they should be here. So when I do that muscle up, when I go into that catch position to extend and do my ring dip, I want my wrist to be as stable as possible, and I want to be efficient with the movement. A false grip allows you to kind of shorten that space so I don't have to pull all the way up for my wrist to stay secure. The false grip allows me to kind of get a nice solid grip, keep my arms nice and close, and allows me to pull and immediately have my wrists set in that nice position where they need to be in right away, not in that extended or that bent position there. And then I can push right up. False grip, first rule with it is you're going to get your rings and you're going to kind of give them a good karate chop. You're going to karate chop the ring so you're resting your ulna bone, which is this long bone going through the forearm here, right, pinky side. You're going to rest it right on the rings. False grip is not particularly comfortable, especially if you're just starting out. So a couple things to remember is yes, you're going to feel a little bit of pain because it will be on the bone a little bit, but that will subside over time, trust me. Not comfortable in the beginning because it's new, just like anything. So karate chop the ring, then you're going to hook your thumb around it, and your forearm should remain resting on that bone. It shouldn't be here. That's not your false grip because I've lost it. I got my wrist space there. Don't want to see the wrist. Right there. As you can tell, a lot of forearms are going to be involved here. So I've karate chopped, tucked my thumbs around, pulled my knuckles together. The closer you can stay with these hands in your muscle up, the more successful or the higher degree of success for the movement. Reason being is as soon as I start to separate my hands, it's a lot harder for me to stabilize and keep my body tight. Tighter I can come up, easier it makes the transition to tuck through here. Hardest part of the muscle up is that transition right there, going from this below position to above the ring position. Alright? So false grip, remember, allows us to have a shorter distance to travel and a stronger pull. What our focus is going to be on today is kind of getting that little shoot through to catch through the rings. So we've talked about doing our rows. You should be able to row with your false grip. So practice doing your false grip rows. Alright? As well as hangs from the bar, as we'll get to in another video. But practicing those basic movements that we did as prerequisites, so your ring rows, 10 of those, right? Practicing with false grip as well. Getting used to feeling what it's like to hold the rings in a false grip. Once you feel comfortable with that, we can kind of progress to using our legs a bit. So our heels are going to press into the ground, and we're going to do that same little drill we did in video 1, where I'm going to pop my hips up and pull. So I got my false grip, knuckles are touching. I'm going to pop my hips up and do a little pull. I'm kipping, I'm exploding through the hip first, generating that momentum, and then adding the pull. So nice and tight on the rings, watch my hips, up, pull. Right? That force that we're going to generate is going to allow us to kind of transition with the rings. What you're going to do is you're going to take the rings as you're pulling up, you're going to trace out along the breast line and then catch. Right? So we're going to shoot through, you're going to have the knuckles together as long as you can, tracing through right to the armpits, and then shooting your head through. A couple cues that you'll often hear is this is going to be like a violent sit-up. You're going to do the biggest sit-up you've ever done in your life. So you're going to come from this position, hips are going to come up, and then you're going to pull up and through. Big sit-up. You're going to need that false grip, and if you flow it together, it's going to start to look like this. Keeping the knuckles together as long as possible, tracing right to the armpits. I don't want to separate the hands. 3, 2, 1, let's roll. Boom. Right through. There's your catch position. Then practice coming back down. You're going to try about 5 of those. Alright? If you can do those pretty comfortably, pretty securely, with the elbows staying as tight to the sides as possible, then you're pretty set. So remember, a couple key points. When you're coming in this position, you want the rings to be touching right near the shoulder. If I'm back here, I'm catching, obviously you can see it's going to place a lot of stress right on my shoulder. Right? This is where we see things like labrum tears happen, shoulder dislocations, torn pecs, torn shoulder muscles. Not pretty, not fun at all, and not comfortable. Right? So we're going to really focus on staying nice and tight with those rings at about a 45 degree angle right here. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be up here. Right? I should be nice and tight right through here. That is your shoot through your catch position. Alright? Basic, easy way to modify the muscle up. So coming through here, feet on the ground, nice little push, alright, through the heels. Remember, hips go first. Got my nice false grip, knuckles stay tight. Always go through your mental checklist before you do the movement. Make sure you're set up. Coming up, explode. Into that catch position. Handles, or sorry, the rings are going to be right near that front of that shoulder. So I'm in a stable, protected position of my shoulder. Elbows are super tight. So I'm not here, I'm super snug, right? Creating a stable platform. And from here, all you do is finish by pushing out and locking up. If we were suspended on the rings, obviously your feet wouldn't be touching anything, and that would be a complete muscle up. Going from a dead hang position, fully extended through the arms, locked out and finished and extended at the top. That is pretty much it for this video. As we continue the next segment of this video, we'll talk about the specifics of our ring dip and how to control the ring dip, down and up, how to press and how to modify as well. We're going to start very basic and continue from there. Once you can kind of control those positions, ring support, being able to stabilize with the rings here, and ring dip as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Be sure to check CrossFit Jammers and Fitter You Out on Facebook. Check out our websites as well. You're always more than welcome to stop by for a great workout. Thank you guys. Peace!